Hey, it's Beanie. So I want to start today's video with a little story time. So a few years back, it was right before my 16th birthday when my mom and I were shopping at Michael's. And we were kind of wandering around the store and she was asking me about what I wanted to do for my birthday when we came across this display of rainbow loom kits. And as the quirky teenager I was, I thought it would be kind of funny if for my birthday I just invited a friend over to my house and we just made stuff on the rainbow loom. And that's exactly what I did. So my birthday rolled around, one of my friends came over, and we just spent that entire afternoon and evening just making stuff on our rainbow looms. And I'm not lying when I say that was the most fun I've ever had. So I haven't made anything on the rainbow loom since that day, but I never stopped thinking about it. And the other day I was at Michael's and guess what I bought? So this is my rainbow loom kit that I picked up. So here on the box it says it's for ages 7 and up. I'm 23, so technically I fit that age range. However, I'm pretty sure I'm quite a bit older than the intended demographic for this craft. So I kind of wanted to have a little play, open this guy up, make a few things, and then see, can you still have fun with the rainbow loom as an adult? And to answer that question, I think I'm going to look at 3 main points. So the first will be, is a kit like this a reasonable value? Secondly, am I able to use the things that I made? And finally, did I have fun? So let's go ahead and open this up and see what we've got inside. Okay, so this is everything that came in the kit. I've got my rubber bands, I've got some beads, my main rainbow loom, I don't know what this is called, but the main part, and then I got this instruction booklet for how to make a basic chain. So I'm gonna go ahead and start off copying this instruction to kind of get my feet wet and see how it turns out. So this was my first design done. This was the basic chain, which is pretty much the simplest design you can do on Rainbow Loom. And with this completed as my warm-up, I was ready to jump into a couple more intermediate designs, starting with the fossil bracelet. I had to start by reconfiguring my rainbow loom to have a squared front rather than the pointed front that it had before. And the basic process for making a bracelet on here is that you have to layer the rubber bands onto the prongs in a specific configuration, and then you go through with the hook and loop them around each other also in a specific pattern so that they hook together correctly, and then you pull it all off of the prongs, and if you did it right, then it'll stay together and have a cool design on the front. I would say that the process is a little bit finicky to learn at the start, and sometimes I got a little bit confused by the tutorials that I was watching, but overall, once I got the hang of it, it was a fairly relaxing process and very satisfying to pull it off. Then to make the bracelet fit my wrist, I had to extend it by doing a chain of rubber bands on one of the edges, and then I clip it together using one of the provided C-clips, and then this bracelet was all done. Then next up was the Raindrops bracelet. And with my 2 intermediate and my 1 beginner bracelets all done, I felt confident to jump into an advanced bracelet, and this was the Gumdrop bracelet, and my word, was it a doozy. As you can see, I only used the 4 front prongs of the rainbow loom, and the technique for looping the bands around each other was a little bit more similar to crochet than anything else. There was a technique I had to learn called the switch loop, and I kept messing up, and then all of the rubber bands on one prong would fall out, and I had to use 100% of my brain to figure out how to fix it, but I cut a lot of that footage out. I didn't want to put you through that pain. Overall, I think this Gumdrop bracelet took me about 3 hours to make, so if you're wondering whether the rainbow loom is going to be too easy for you if you're an adult, the answer is no. There are definitely some challenging patterns out there that you can try. And once this bracelet was finally done, I wanted to have a little go with making some bracelets with beads. This was the double bead ladder bracelet, and I started by placing 2 of each colored pony bead onto an elastic. And then I placed all my elastic bands down onto my rainbow loom. And I may have experienced some technical difficulties here. That was a funny little accident, but after that happened, I definitely was going to keep better control of my beads and be a little bit more careful. Or not. Then with everything placed, it was time to hook all of the elastic bands around each other, and with my experience from the Gumdrop bracelet, I definitely had better control over my hook and the elastic, so this process went pretty smoothly. After looping everything together, this rainbow project was done. Then once everything was pulled off of the loom, the beads and elastics of this design were pretty satisfying to touch and play with, so I decided to leave this as a keychain slash fidget toy rather than turning it into a bracelet. For my next project, I wanted to use these letter beads. Not that one though. And you can't make bracelets on your rainbow loom without making a friendship bracelet, so this one was for my friend Brianna. I wanted to try this bracelet technique where you use the hook and you don't use the rainbow loom, and it did get made a lot quicker than the rainbow loom bracelets, but it was less fun to make. Then once the main bracelet is done, you can get the beads on by pulling on the bracelet to make it skinny and then forcing them through. And doing that did stretch out the bracelet, so I did go back later and make it a little bit smaller by removing some bands. I wanted to make a second bracelet for Brianna to go with the first one, so here's a basic beaded bracelet using only 2 prongs of the rainbow loom. And I decided to put in the phrase "girl power" spelled like this on this bracelet because that just seemed like the type of thing you would put on this type of bracelet. And this is probably one of my favorite bracelets to make. I've already made a bunch more of these with different words and different colored beads, and some of them may or may not have had swear words on them. Please don't judge me. But this was how Brianna's 2 bracelets turned out, and I thought they were very cute and looked very nice together. So if you've made it to this point of the video, then congratulations, you've unlocked my secret second review of a Rainbow Loom product. So I'm not going to be testing the Rainbow Loom Loomies. These are little character kits. I chose this little burger dude. So I just kind of want to try this out and see what these are like as well. So let's open this up and see what we've got. This is what the Loomies box looks like, and inside it comes with some rubber bands, some character accessories, a frame, and some hooks. So to make this burger character, I started off by using the speed loom, which is these 2 items here, the green and the yellow guys, and you use this to make a boxy chain. And the chain ends up looking something like this. Then once the chain is long enough, according to the instructions, you can bind it off. So once I had the 2 chains that were meant to be for the burger's bun, I moved on to the chain for the patty. So then the next step is to shove the chains into this little burger-shaped frame, which I had a little bit of trouble with. Like, I might not have been super precise in the length of my chain, but after removing or adding some bands here or there, I got it to fit pretty nicely, and then it was time to add on the accessories. This is how my final character turned out. I would rate this kit about an 8 out of 10, and I really like this little character. As for my bracelets, these were the final results, and I made sure to package up Brianna's bracelets nicely into these cute little bags. So I've spent the last couple of days making some things on my rainbow loom, and I'm ready to give my final thoughts and circle back to those 3 questions I had posed earlier. First, in terms of is the kit worth the money, I'd say yeah. Like, you get a lot of materials. I'm sure you can make a ton of bracelets before you run out of rubber bands, and my kit also came with some beads, and then of course you get your main rainbow loom and hook. So I think there's tons of hours of entertainment you can get out of this kit. If you decide that you want different colors or some more bands, like maybe you're really into the beads, you can always just get extra things to add on later. And then if you're really not sure how much rainbow looming you're willing to do, you can always just pick up one of these smaller kits for the Loomies ones, and those are also really cute. So second, in terms of can you use what you make, I'd say that depends what you make and what your style is. So for this video, I just stuck to making bracelets because I think that's more what the rainbow loom is intended for, and I just wanted to stay true to that. But I know for rainbow loom, you can also make some like charms and figurine type things, so let me know if you want to see a part 2 to this video, and maybe I'll try making some of those. And then finally, can you have fun on the rainbow loom as an adult? For that, I'd also say, yeah, I had tons of fun making these, and I'm definitely going to be using this to make more things. And I also just want to point out that I feel like crafts like this are usually just reserved for children, and then once you grow up, you're like not allowed to use it anymore. But I think this is a really fun craft. Like a lot of hobbies as an adult, like I do a lot of knitting and sewing, and those things definitely have a big learning curve, and you have to put a lot of time and honestly money in before you can start to make stuff that's usable. But the rainbow loom, as long as you can just follow a tutorial, you can come up with a pretty decent result pretty fast. So if you just want something to do on the weekend with your friends or by yourself every odd evening, then try it out. So that's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!